Hello everybody, thank you. Barry Kavanagh from Nature Patch Network. Basically, I'll try not to speak for too long because I'm known to speak for a long time, so we'll try to speed it all the way through as much as we can, right? But basically, we're just relatively new. We only set up there about a year ago. And the basic reason why we set it up really is because it's trying to make people realise that their own patches, their own gardens, their own spaces, even their own window box, you know what I mean, is important for wildlife. Because an awful lot, we're sort of fed this sort of a mantra that, you know, wildlife reserves, or you have to have a big farm, you have to have, I don't know, the west of Ireland is the only place you go for wildlife, you know, that sort of way. But it's not true, obviously, because wildlife is everywhere, you know. And by just working your patch, your garden, your space a little bit better to encourage wildlife, you know, wildlife will come. Because wildlife always comes to where wildlife is welcome, you know, as you know yourself. So just a packet of seed, throw it on the ground, you know, to bring the wildflowers, or just let the grass grow a bit longer, you know, is enough to bring animals in. And just like Father was saying, that the owl will follow that, and you know, all these other animals, you create this sort of linear linkage that brings it all together in that way, you know. So our statement really, the mission of Nature is to inspire people to connect and restore Earth's natural ecosystems for wildlife and our children's future. You've probably heard that a few times today, but it is important. And our children, they really, you know, they don't know what we're doing now. They haven't got a clue in reality, like, you know. But they'll find out later on, as Duncan said earlier on, and others, you know, they will find out you know, from climate change and what's going to happen. It's not that it's if it's going to happen, it is. It's actually happening. It's quite warm today, unusually, and the last couple of weeks as well, you know. But basically, the way we hope to achieve this by encouraging people and communities to open their patch to nature, which will in turn, wildlife will move freely and feel welcome within our human spaces in that way. And the Pope was saying there, you know, about interconnecting and sustainability and that, you know, and connecting things, because nature does connect, and there's this cycle of life and death, as we all know, like it's there all the time, you know. But we're the only ones that disconnect that connection, you know what I mean, with our actions in that sort of way, you know. And I'm pretty sure the Pope will agree with that as well. Like, so basically, our human spaces then will become more wildlife friendly in that sort of way, you know, which I think is important, and I think it's we all should be encouraged to do so. And this way, I think it will allow people the opportunity to engage with the natural environment and become more ecologically aware, sustainable in their approach and the way they manage their patch in that way. As like I say, managing the patch doesn't have to be just basically looking up the wildlife books and saying, well, I should do this and I should do that. Sometimes it's doing nothing, you know what I mean, is enough sometimes to manage it really well, you know, and that way for wildlife. Because wildlife will find their own niches and their own little things in it in that way, you know, so it's not too difficult to do it in that way, okay? Is it this one? Oh, it's lovely that, isn't it? And I have to say, my son did all this only today. I actually lost the original one of these things, and he did it up really quickly. So he said, Daddy, this is the way you have to do it. They're all like this, you know, so that's right. But what is a patch then? Everybody has a patch, whether it's your garden, your window box, or communal park, like I say, it could be anything, you know, I mean, we all understand that, like, you know. And basically, it's important then your patch, no matter how small it is vital for nature to thrive. And I often say, like, you know, I'd like to be a butterfly from West Cork down there, you know. Just say, I don't know, give us an emperor butterfly or whatever. There is, yeah. And basically, he's down there, but he wants to go on holidays up to my place, up to Bailborough, you know, up to my patch in that way. But that butterfly I'd find it very difficult to get from West Cork up to here, because it's such disconnection along the way, you know. But if we all sort of worked our patches in a certain way to allow the butterfly then, you know, because the butterfly has to go along and stop off for a break, just like we do when we're heading on our holidays in that way. Has to take a little bit of nectar, move on in that sort of way, you know, and be welcome everywhere it stops on its way. So it's like a sort of a linkage thing all the way up. So that's what I'd like then the butterfly to be able to do with that connection. You understand? So how can you improve it? By almost doing nothing, like I said, but by managing your patch in a nature-friendly way. How do I manage the patch? Joining patch, well, you can join our organisation if you wish. More than welcome. We wish everybody would, like, and basically then we can actually, through our team and all that, and between yourselves and our work together to make something like this happen, you know, in that way, hopefully. How do I connect? By allowing the patch access to wildlife, creatures like butterflies, bees, and all can move freely all the way through them, just like we said, the West Cork butterfly moving to Bailborough and back. And how does the patch make a difference? You're patched together with all others will create a vast living landscape where wildlife can safe and flourish without boundaries. And without the boundaries, like I say, like we put up boundaries all the time, put motorways up, we put up all sorts of obstacles. When the motorway from Virginia to Dublin happened, the amount of dead animals along the road quite soon after that, because we put this, and you see the concrete thing they put in the middle of it, which I think is nuts, you know. It's like this wall that nothing can get over in that way. And amount of dead animals. And we were going to Dublin just there recently, and what was coming up ahead of me when I was driving out there, only a duck and his family, you know what I mean, of young, but this was earlier on in spring. But basically it's, and all the cars were sort of swerving and all this, like, and them ducks are obviously scratching their heads, how can I get over here, the little ducklings, you know? They can't, there's a big wall in the way, like. And only we could do something silly like that, you know? But anyway. People are the climate heroes, like patch just happened to be an acronym, and then like, you know, people are the climate heroes. You know, all our patches, it's a nice sort of connection there. But people that work their patch in a nature-friendly way are the heroes in that way, you know. Patch network, what we're about as well, like, I mean, is working with individuals, but also working with communities. Okay, so we'll be talking a little bit about that in a while, because we actually go in and help communities then turn their whole community into a sort of nature-friendly environment, you know, for animals and wildlife to work in. And we have worked in a few communities, and even Kells close to here, and it's interesting hearing about yourselves, and we link up just as well, because we're actually doing a plan. We actually go in and do greenscape, or natural heritage and greenscape plans is what we call it. We go in there and we just go through the whole town, village, city, or whatever, like very, very, you know, house to house, garden to garden, hedge to hedge, tree to tree, and so on, right? And we do a very comprehensive plan up on the whole place, just giving sort of advice on how to improve the environment. And then we link all the different environmental organisations in with that, like back Conservation Ireland, GIY Ireland, hopefully, and so on, like, you know, so that people can actually access all these other sort of providers, natural providers, to actually come together to make sure that those type of green state plans work within their communities. You know, to me, it's, you know, makes sense. Like climate change, obviously, it's definitely mentioned there a while ago. It's seriously important. Like, I mean, I find it very disheartening when I hear in the news there today about Trinity College. There's 7,000 people on campus there, like, you know, but yet we had a climate change. Remember a while back there, a few months ago, in Dublin, there was a march. But how many people out of 7,000 people in Trinity turned up for that? Would you imagine? 150 out of it, like, you know, and that worries me, you know. So there's obviously a disconnect there in a massive way, especially with our youth, because they're the important people really to catch, but we're only getting 150 out of 7,000. Worries, you know. Reason for being part of patch, like I say, well, I went through a lot of it there anyway, habitats and greenhouse and so on, okay, because if I go through all that, we'll be here all evening. This is our team here, obviously myself. Now, my background really, I'm a horticulturist, but I'm also an environmentalist, like, I mean, I have been since birth, like, you know, in that way. I was always interested in wildlife, I always loved it. Fishing. I used to go fishing a lot, and when you go fishing, you sit there, wildlife comes all around you, you get more aware, you look at it, you smell it, you know, you breathe it in that way. I also, in my spare time, my hobby was, you know, ditches. I'd play in ditches a lot. Like, I mean, you know, I'd come back stinking, you know, in that way. So probably built up a big immunity to an awful lot of diseases out there, but they're positive things as well, like, you know, for people to learn. Like, I always knew that, you know, what frogs do and all that sort of stuff, because you see the frogs through the, you know, from their conception and so all the way through, you know. I learned all this myself from visually looking at things, and I just wish that more kids were told to go out and get dirty. Don't come back in and don't come in clean. I always said to my own son, like, you know, Brian, don't come in clean, get yourself dirty, like, you know, that way. So Eilish McGowan here, there she is there. Great woman now. She's a great organizer of patch here, like, I mean, she makes it sort of happen in that way, so it's brilliant, you know. Goshka over here looking What were you looking at, Goska? She was talking to you earlier on about invasive species and that. Like, Goska's fantastic. She's an ecologist, and there's nothing she doesn't know about ecology really out there at the moment. And Sharon McKenna, again, a horticulturist. You know, I mean, and between us, like, I mean, we do up the plans. Between us all, we do up the heritage plans and that for the towns, you know, and greenscape. For members and communities, then you can't really see it, but basically, it's what I'm saying here. For members, if anyone did join Patch, you get a quarterly magazine thing or a newsletter. See this thing here, packed with information, really, and tips and all on what to do in your patch, and that, you know, and connects in with, like, say, other organisations. It's not just exclusively Patch. I don't like the exclusive organisation thing. Like, I mean, I'd rather open it up to everybody in that way. But I suppose that's what Green Foundation Ireland is. A foundation that's bringing us all together in that way, which is good. And the environmental network, obviously, that you're all, a few of you are probably involved in, is a very good thing, you know. And basically, you get that, you get information. You have access to ourselves, like, I mean, in a professional capacity, and also as friends in that way, you know. And we can all link together. And for communities, like I say, the natural heritage and greenscape plans, which is very beneficial for our communities. And these are a couple of the communities that we did work with, and that's that was Monaghan. What's it called, place? Glasslock in Monaghan. We worked at Norburn and County Meads. That's planting trees and that throughout the town. Virginia, County Cavan. We did a lot of treescaping and hedgerows and things like that up there. Mahara, County Cavan there. It's all, probably see these high impact wildflower things. And that we're also working on different, at the moment, Oldcastle. We're doing a presentation, and the way we work really, we go into, like I say, we'll do up the plan, then we'll go and actually meet the community. So we'll have a sort of a meeting like this. Everybody's invited in the community. There's no one, I keep insisting everybody should know. Let the schools know, let the parish bulletin know, and so on, like, you know, to make sure everybody, so nobody can say, oh, well, I didn't hear about it in that way. And it gives an opportunity for all the organisations to turn up on the night. And what we do, we'll go through the plan step by step, and then it's up to the community then what they want to do, what actions that we suggest that they'll follow through on, you know. And that way, normally it's quite successful, you know. We do get good turnouts. We do get sort of we develop a sort of a short-term committee, or sometimes long-term committee, that will actually implement the plans then from then on. And then we'll do a sort of a short-term, high-impact sort of actions, like tree planting. Tree planting is quite quick, but it's very visual, so it's high impact, and it's great for wildlife in that way. Because I try to encourage at least 70 to 80% of native plants should be planted. You know, the 20%, of course, we're human as well. We like the aesthetics of things. So you have to get the balance there, like, you know, so the more, if we can get 70, 80% native trees and hedgerows and so on, the better. Also, as part of the plan then, we'd look at sort of an example of some of the actions would be to plant hedges right through the whole town and create a sort of what I classify as a hedge link. Okay? So if you can imagine, say, we're doing Kells at the moment, and we are going to suggest this in Kells, create a hedge right around the whole town and then link it in almost like a spider web right into the heart of it. Okay, so the animal, like I say, can move freely right in and out right through the whole thing, and links then to the existing nature reserves or wilder areas, you might as well say, around the town as well, which makes total sense. Then hopefully Mahara, Mahara, I just see members of Mahara there, we did. But it's basically, that's Nolene, fantastic woman, like, you know, she made things happen up in Mahara as well, like, when we were working with them. But basically it's, and to connect to next town, and then, like I say, the butterfly or the bee or the bass or whatever can move freely through all of these interconnected sort of areas. Okay? So that's basically what we're about. We have a website, like I say, this is our website. We just use this as well. So I'd encourage you to have a look at it as well. And I do encourage, hopefully, you join or just be part of it, you know, in that way. And to look at your own patches, like I say, as a potential sort of a reserve in its own right and interconnected with everyone else. It makes so much sense, doesn't it, I think? You okay? Thank you.